interpersonal relationships and that are and that breathe, how do they really affect our brain function?
Yeah.
These interpersonal relationships we experience.
Yeah. Well, you think about it. What is the source of a lot of our anxiety, worry, and fear? Relationships. We're in conflict with people. They don't understand us. They disagree with us. And so the little component of the breathe model, or review and renew your relationships, is a way to kind of keep, how would I say it, a regular inventory on what's going on in your relationships. Because when our relationships are in disarray, we feel anxiety or we're ruminating, it's engaging that flight center. It's sending cortisol into our body. Now, we need cortisol because it helps us in drawing energy from the food we eat. But if your body and your brain stays on cortisol long periods of time, that's called chronic stress, and it's really bad for your body. So in this little component, review and renew your relationships, I use a little picture. And the picture would be like, imagine a dartboard. Everybody can picture a dartboard. Got the little center thing, you got the concentric circles, in the dartboard. So what this practice does, as the person who's learning how to practice mindfulness, they're inventorying their key relationships. The center circle would be those key relationships: your husband, your wife, your kids, maybe your boss. Basically, like evaluating, Lord, are things okay in this relationship? And it's just pausing. It's being with the Lord and letting, speak to your heart, letting him impress on you, like, yeah, things are good. Or, I was unkind to my son, and I need to make a note when he gets home from school. I'm going to apologize to him for that. So what that does is it affords the opportunity to make these relationships right, and therefore bring great equilibrium to these chemicals in your brain. Now, the concentric circles, as they go out, the center one would be the most important. The next one would be inventory, like, okay, how are my relationships at work? Oh, okay, how are relationships in the neighborhood or on the sports team? But doing this little exercise may take a minute, or sometimes you may sit on that for 5-10 minutes, like, okay, I need to really inventory how my relationships are doing. And when they're right, we're more calm. The cortisol is less flowing through our body, and we're healthier physically, spiritually, emotionally, and whole gamut.
So it was calming to me to see someone else talk about how relationships affect everything. And it's not always just about me and God. I mean, so many evangelicals just reduce it to this relationship that's vertical, and they forget the horizontal, that it's really worked out in these relationships. But also, let's talk also, going on to the next letter, the noticing and engaging your environment. I found that to be pretty important, because I'm an environment kind of person. I like to have a candle and some dim lights. And what role does environment play in this holy noticing?
Yeah. Well, what role this plays is it helps disconnect, and that may be too strong of a word, but I use it anyway, disconnect our negative thought processing. When we really focus on what is around us, it maybe if you have a candle, or maybe for me, sometimes I'll have my devotional time in the loft of our home, and the loft of our home overlooks a little forest. And sometimes I would just simply observe the shape of the tree, observe the branches, and how they're just so intricately designed. And it really oftentimes can lead me into worshiping the Lord. So this environment could be something visually you see. It could be a smell. It could be hearing. Another thing that I do is that if I'm in my office, I'm in my office right now, I have my devotional time. As I go through this exercise, BREATH, sometimes I'll have a fan going just for noise, or maybe just for a little extra heat. I will stop, my eyes closed, and try to parse out the various sounds I hear. What this is doing is it's turning off that inner chatter, where I'm just really, really focusing on that one thing. So it develops a healthy discipline to be in the moment, rather than your mind thinking about the future, or your mind going to the past where you're ruminating over that. So this whole environment piece is very powerful. In fact, science has found out that one of the most energizing ways that we can lift our emotions is being in nature, walking along. We have a little pathway behind our house with trees and everything. Walking along pathway, walking along a creek. It's no wonder, because God created the world. He created us to appreciate it. And there's this extra bonus as we are in his world and really contemplating being fully present to it. It refreshes our souls and lifts our spirit. So that's a pretty important. It's one you can do anywhere. If you're worrying and you're all upset, like, okay, what am I hearing right now? I've even done sometimes in McDonald's when I order my hamburger or whatever, and I just listen to all the various sounds. It breaks that inner chatter for a few moments.